Wow, we got people here already. Well, that's good. Hello as you come in. I'll wait just a few seconds before I get started on the subject matter. I'm out very early this morning, and I had to, there's no light. The sun's not up yet, and I'm out moving around. So I had to find a place with enough light where you wouldn't see me as just a specter in the background. So, again, hello everyone as you come in. I know I'm not posting very much lately, and the reason for that is, as I said, I think I've said about everything I can, and there are others out there who I think are doing a much better job. Hello, everyone. Hello. Uh, However, every once in a while, I just can't keep my mouth shut. I just came up with a new business card, as a matter of fact, to give to people. And my little motto on the bottom of it is sometimes didactic, often loquacious, never boring. Well, I don't know if any of that you'd agree with. Of course, didactic means like you're a teacher, especially on philosophy type things. Loquacious means verbosity, you talk too much. And hi, Alaska. And of course, boring again. That's a matter of opinion, I suppose. Well, hopefully everything's 5 by 5. If everybody could let me know the sound's okay, that's really what I'm worried about this morning. Looks like I've got a good signal strength, but you never know. It is snowing. Right now it's kind of flurrying a little bit, but it was snowing pretty hard a few minutes ago. Oh, thanks, Joe Shields. 5 by 5. Okay, let me get into the subject matter because I'm sure that that's going to be what everybody's really interested in. First of all, what a shit show. Uh, as I said before, if we get into a real knockdown drag out fight with Russia, we're going to get our butts kicked. I won't explain why that's the case, despite the powers of NATO's weaponry and militaries, including the U.S. But uh, Russia has internal lines of communication that are pretty significant, and plus their military is tougher than ours. That's just the bottom line. Okay, what is 5 by 5? It means all the sound and video is good. That's all it means. A lot of people want to know what the GMI is too. That I might mention here. If somebody would explain that, so I don't have to, I would appreciate it. So, at any rate, as I'm watching this thing unfold, the big news last night was uh, that Biden and Putin are going to have a summit over the phone. I'm sure that Biden will still wear his face covering, just to be sure, on his long distance discussion over the wires with Putin. He'll still have his mask on. He's going to be a good little president. What I'm beginning to believe this is, and I'm not saying Putin is a player in it. I doubt it, but it could be. They're doing anything they can to make Biden look big. He came right out. He came out a little bit ago and talked about the infection, the disease that's going on, and his people are saying that it's because of him that things are getting better. And now this thing with Russia, it's starting to look like it's something to kind of bolster him up. And then they're going to make him take a big fall at some point, I think. So uh, while this is still a dangerous situation, like I said before, to me it's starting to look like something to try to give with everything that's going on with even with the Democratic Party, many of its members being critical of Biden at this point. I think it's some kind of a way to bolster him up. Really, what they need to do is take him to a retirement home and stop using him like this. This is elder abuse. The guy just isn't there. But then we get Kamala Harris, right? I don't know. It's sixes, really, either way. But I think that's kind of where we are right now as far as the Russian situation is concerned. Let's see, what was that? That might be interesting. Said the more complex you make things, it's easier to disable it or destroy. CDSA will do a false flag as well. Yeah, and that's very possible too. And I think a lot of I noticed that they had a lot of stock video on military activity in Russia, and making people think that that's there at Ukraine. Those are just exercises. I mean, it's real obvious they were exercises that they were showing on there, not actual military activity in Ukraine. And some of the fighting that's been going on, as other commentaries have talked about, Has been going on for almost, well, about 7 or 8 years now, and we started that with our State Department and our CIA going into Ukraine along with Soros to destabilize Ukraine, so we could take care, steal its resources and use it as a money laundering country, which is exactly what's happened. And there are people there that want to go after the Bidens, of course, for that. But at any rate, that's really, I think, what's going on is they're just trying to change the subject. Although, again, you play with fire and it can get out of control and things can get really nasty and a lot of people could get killed. So it's wrong for these guys to do that, but this is what they do. They're just evil to the core. Okay, so that's my Russia take at this point. That's subject to change. All intel that you get is fluid and it changes with the situation as you see the order of battle change, et cetera, et cetera. What that means is who's involved and the tactics that are going on, those kinds of things. So we need to keep an eye on it because it is dangerous. But frankly, in my opinion, the biggest danger that we're facing right now is what's going on in Canada, Australia, Austria, those places. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. Please read between the lines. Uh, there's no doubt that this is a war on the people. And anybody who tries to say it's otherwise is just uninformed. As I mentioned in some Twitter, I've been doing a lot on Twitter. Those of you who follow me there, you'll know I talked about that I've been, I was a nuclear, chemical, biological incident accident control officer. I know a lot about biological warfare, chemical warfare, nuclear warfare, what works and what doesn't, and the don't work. And as Gates admitted the other day, his whole project there on the GMI is a problem, and we're finding, and he's finally admitting, as many of the doctors have said, and I've said, and again I'm being careful here, that your body gets stronger against it. Again, read between the lines here with these newer things that are coming out, right? And so they might want to release a new infection altogether in a different genus, whatever they want to call those when in those different areas. But because they don't want to lose control, that's what all this is about, as I said. And frankly, at this point, apparently from the numbers I can see, everyone's had at least one GMI. Not everyone, about half the world's population, maybe a little more, according to them, has had this GMI. And if that's the case, uh, it's pretty much set up for division and for dividing people, which we've seen already, and also for the surveillance system. It's pretty much already there. So they're probably willing to go ahead now because so many of us are standing back. At any rate, so getting back to Canada, Australia, Austria, etc., we're watching how if this was a health emergency, boy, they're sure hurting a lot of people to try to convince them to take part in it, aren't they? The entire thing that Trump started back 2 years ago, and Trump did start it. I mean, you can say, oh, he got bad advice or whatever. Well, when you're going to go have a major operation, a major surgery, as I pointed out before, it behooves you to go get a second opinion. And he had plenty of people he could go get a second opinion from. He was involved in this. He was part of the program to make this happen, and nobody's going to convince me otherwise. Especially now that he won't come out and talk about the dangers of his little baby, the thing that he's the father of. So what they're doing now is for people, they're dividing the people out that will not conform, that will not comply. And as we see in Canada with the way that Trudeau came after those people, they didn't do that with the BLM. Trudeau and the FBI and Pelosi and the Democrats all bowed, all knelt to BLM and Antifa, to worship the God that those organizations represent in the way that they operate. I'm not saying everybody in them is involved in that, but they were actually worshiping the God. Trudeau was too. The FBI, Pelosi, etc. We're all worshiping the God that is controlling this. That's why they knelt. Well, you see what they're doing to the people that have freedom in their hearts. And so now this is going to get a little scriptural and a little spiritual. And for those of you who don't really care for that, you can go now. All I can say is you better be ready to stand up because they're coming for you. Okay, one way or another, they're coming for you. As the Ottawa police chief said, they're going to go after everybody. They're freezing their bank accounts. You want to see what the reset's going to look like? When you misbehave in their eyes, they're going to shut you down, your finances. They're going to steal your homes. They're going to take your children. We're seeing it all in Canada right now, how they're going to operate this thing. And that police chief, I'm going to just come out and say it right now, all right, of Ottawa, and the RNs, RCMP, any of these people, military, any of these people, citizens, people, wake up, identify these people, and find out everything you can about them. I'm not going to say much more about that, but you find out every piece of information about them you can. This is a war against us, and they want to kill as many of us, imprison and kill as many of us as they can. This is not a game. I could go into more depth than that, but I think you can read between the lines and understand what I'm getting to. But now I want to talk a little bit about scriptural stuff because it really applies to what's happening right now. So again, if you're not interested in this, you can go, okay? But it plays in, so it would behoove you to listen to a few things. I get very disturbed by especially Christians. Yeah, I'm coming after you, Christians, because you're waiting for Jesus to come and save you. You're misreading, in my estimation, what the scriptures are really talking about. You're trying to apply 20th and 21st century euphemisms, idioms, and symbology to 1st century AD back through the last 3,000 years about, trying to apply it to their culture, and you're just missing it as far as I'm concerned, and you're being sidelined and pacified. Think just like Q did, just like Trump did, believing that somebody's coming to save you. Now, I'm not putting Jesus down, but I think you're misunderstanding how he operates. So listen to me just a little bit. Just consider this. I'm not even saying it's true. I'm just saying listen, okay? When Jesus was ready to leave after everything had happened, he said to his followers, his apostles and disciples, he said, "You will do greater things than I have done because I go to the Father." Well, how could anyone do greater things than Jesus did? Well, I didn't say it. He said that would happen. Okay? Now, God historically and scripturally has worked through mankind, different aspects of it. He chose Abraham, took him out. He chose Shem. He chose Adam. All the things that I've talked about. Certain men that have had the heart and mind of God, that men have wanted the heart and mind of God. God has given to them. And as long as they don't go against that, God stays with them to some degree or another, depending upon what their particular experience is supposed to be in this life. Very rarely and I know it seems like this in the New Testament and some of the other things that it talks about. It seems like God himself is going to come and you're going to have him in front of you, and he's going to protect you against your enemies. He's going to be wielding this sword and taking out the enemy for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it just isn't like that in the scriptures anywhere. On Twitter over the last few weeks, I've really pushed the situation in Isaiah where he says, "And the Lord shall rise up as in Mount Perazim. He shall be as wroth as in the valley of Gibeon." Go look that up. You can type that into Google just like that, and you'll get the reference. I'm going to make you do it. I'm not going to give it to you, okay? Kind of like an assignment. What happened there? Well, the same thing that the Lord did with Gideon. When Gideon started out with a huge army, and then God said, you're going to have to whittle this down. I don't want you taking credit for it. You're going to whittle down to 300 soldiers. and you'll defeat the enemy with 300 soldiers, because I'm going to give them my heart and mind, okay? And that's what Jesus talks about, right? And what it says in the New Testament, let this mind be in you that is in Christ Jesus, that he, finding himself in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal to God. You can go look that one up. All of these things. So what is all this saying? Well, let's look at another saying that Jesus said. He said, I am the way, the truth, keep that word in mind, and the life. He who believeth on me shall have eternal life, basically, right? Okay. What is that saying? Well, there's another scripture, right? And it goes something like this. Seek for the truth. Remember I said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And now we see this where he says, seek the truth, and the truth will make you free. And all these Christians want to focus on the person, the individual of Jesus Christ, the man, the God man, whatever you want to call him. Okay, I'm not going to get into that argument about what kind of a being he really was. That's not the point of this little discussion. Two things again. Remember, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And seek the truth, and the truth shall make you free. What is the gospel? The gospel isn't what you think it is, in my estimation. Again, I'm letting you have a path out here. It is liberty. It is freedom. And that would be taught to the whole world. And then the end would come. And James said that it's the perfect law of liberty, the royal law that matters. And the two pillars are what? Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, might, mind, and strength, and love thy neighbor as thyself. In other words, piety and righteousness. And Jesus said the same thing, the two commandments, the two great commandments. Love the Lord thy God and love thy neighbor as thyself. Upon these two stand all the law and the prophets. So, what's happening right now, in my estimation? And then we have Joel, the prophet Joel, and I've read also in Malachi, where it says that the Lord will pour out his spirit upon all flesh. That doesn't mean they'll all accept the mind and heart of God, okay? Many will reject it because they're evil, or they will find themselves to have been so bad, so evil, that they won't feel good. They won't feel good about themselves to come and drink from that fountain. We'll have to let God work with that. But my point is, as in Mount Perazim, as in the Valley of Gibeon, and as the situation that we see with Gideon, the Lord worked through the people. He gave the people their heart and his heart and mind. And it divided them from the wicked. It divided them from the wheat and the tares. And of course, the wicked were the ones that pushed the division because they're evil. They're trying to starve out the people of God, trying to steal their sustenance, because that's life. That's freedom. That's liberty. They're trying to steal it from them. So they're doing that, but they're actually doing God's will by separating us out from them. And you heard me say before, and you know it's true as far as the scriptures talk, that you have to separate yourselves from Babylon, that you do not take a part in their plagues. Be it the wars, be it the sicknesses, be it the financial destruction, be it the massive mayhem and murder that we saw after, right after, well, since the Trump thing especially, when he came into office, and then all the things that were happening around the city. Look, they take over Seattle, a portion of it, and other cities, burn things down, destroy, kill, all that. They never brought, and in some other countries too, and they never did what they did to the Canadians and the Australians and the Austrians. It's a fight, it's a war against those who have the heart and mind of God in them, because they willingly want it. They thirst and hunger for it. And the evil hates it. And Trudeau is evil, as is Klaus Schwab, as is Bill Gates, and all those that we can name. So I think you see where I'm coming from here. What I'm saying is, if you're going to sit on the sidelines and think that God is going to do this for you, you're really sadly mistaken. You as the people have to rise up together. Father, I pray that they will be one with me as I am one with you. and they will be one with us. One heart, one mind. Not one entity, but all together in one heart and one mind, because the evil does that. You notice the Democrats never fight against each other, or very rarely, for instance. No matter how outrageous they are, they stick together. Where on the other hand, the Republicans especially, they get divided over every little thing, right? They're nitpicky. They don't see the big picture. I'm not saying you don't stand up for what's right. What I'm saying is that you got to have one heart and one mind. And liberty, Jesus said it, James said it, not me, is the truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And and to seek for the truth, and the truth will set you free. That's all the same. The gospel is liberty. That's what's been preached. It crosses all barriers of race, religion, ethnicity, understanding. Everybody knows they don't want to be suppressed. So I wanted to bring that out a little bit this morning, because too many people are saying, like with the Q and then Trump, and all that, sitting on the sidelines waiting for somebody to do this for them, and it's not going to work that way. Mount Perazim, the Valley of Gibeon, and the story of Gideon are just a few examples. And one more. As far as getting out of Babylon, it's not easy. The evil NWO owns practically every square centimeter of land and water on the earth. I don't know about Antarctica. I don't know what's going on down there. I've heard all sorts of things. I don't know. But one thing I do know, we have to separate out as much as we can. And the wicked are forcing us to do that. Do you see it? They're forcing us to get away from them. You can't go together. Well, let me say this part first. When Jerusalem was going to be destroyed, there was a prophet by the name of Jesus, and it wasn't Jesus Christ, okay? This is another Jesus that came along later. And he prophesied in Jerusalem for a long time that it was going to be destroyed. Well, one of the things that came out, and the followers of James, as you know from my lectures, was the true heir of Jesus, not Peter, and certainly not Paul. But James gave instruction that at this point in time, when this destruction came, they were to flee Jerusalem. The true followers of Jesus and James were to leave Jerusalem to avoid the destruction, not to take part in it, not to try to defend Jerusalem, which at that point in time was called Babylon and is the same today. They were told to leave it. And you can look this up if you want. You can go on Google or go to my series, and it's called the Pella Flight. They all fled to Pella. Some went to Masada and fought the Romans again later. And I've talked about that as well before. My point is, prep, pray, stay out of the way. The wicked destroy the wicked. They are doing the reveal. The apocalypse means the reveal. They're showing what they are. They're showing their demons here in the flesh, or influenced by them because they want to be. No longer is it because they don't know. They're choosing this. So we need to choose to liberty and to be one in heart and mind. That doesn't mean you're not going to get persecuted. That doesn't mean there aren't going to be casualties on the battlefield, quote unquote. Right? We're seeing that. I mean, look at the lady who got trampled by the horse. They're unleashing deadly weapons against the people for wanting what? Not to fight the government. They want their liberty, which the Charter of Canada promises them, which the Constitution, and I know the Constitution it's a what can I call it here? It's a document that does not have the capability to enforce itself. If the people aren't going to have the heart and mind that the Constitution explains, the Constitution is not going to save them. It's in the hearts and minds of the people, just like God's heart and mind has to be in the people. And I've talked about Judge Learned Hand explaining that in the past. That if those principles of liberty aren't in the hearts and minds of the people, no Constitution, no government, nothing's going to save them. They have to have it in themselves. And that's what the scriptures say. Now, am I saying that there's not going to be a second coming of Jesus as far as the actual person, the entity, man? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that he doesn't want you waiting for that. He wants you to do something. Belief in Hebrew means that you do something, not that you just have an ethereal hope like it's now defined in Western culture. Belief is doing. So you need, like the Christians did, to flee Jerusalem, Babylon, and go to Pella, which was just emblematic of the entire area where they fled to. It wasn't far from the Dead Sea. We need to do the same thing today as best we can. Pull your kids out of schools. Don't put up with this nonsense. Try to build, as David Knight often talks about, try to build alternative ways of economy, of taking care of things. That doesn't mean that they're not going to come after you because they don't want you to do this, but you've got to at least do the best you can. And then that gives something, God then has something to work with. Not that he couldn't just do it, poof, but that's not, we're here for another thing. And that other thing is this: there is no substitute for experience. There is no substitute for experience. You can do book learning, you can philosophize, you can pontificate, which I do a lot, right? There is no substitute for experience. God's giving you an experience to know good from evil. For what purpose? We could conjecture. I think it's because Jesus was right when he said there are many mansions waiting for us, many hecalot, many chambers, depending upon our faithfulness. Well, I'll probably leave it at that. I've been going for almost a half an hour. And again, do something. I was at a demonstration in Provo, Utah. It was small. Most of you know it's the video I put up before this. And any day my YouTube channel could be taken down. Don't forget I'm on Odysee. Okay, you can go. It's on Odysee.com. Roy P, I think. I'm not sure right now. Maybe if I have one of my mods in there, they could post the link to Odysee. Chances are that's where I'll be. I can't live stream on Odysee because I don't meet the qualifications for that. But I will put up, video reports that I've recorded there if YouTube takes me down, which is at this point, it's quite likely, actually. I'm surprised they let me back on as quickly as they did. Now, the police are not our friends. And by the way, somebody said, well, all those are UN people that Canada's using. And I said, well, I don't think so. I think they're more like mercenaries. They look more like mercenaries to me. Regardless, what Canada has done is that they have brought in unsworn mercenary soldiers, be they UN or otherwise, to quell the people because they have no interest. The idea of policing by your local people so that they understand you, and that plays in to the way that they enforce laws, if at all. They've brought in outsiders because they'll be brutal. In the United States, they do that too. For instance, the Utah National Guard, I forget where they actually go, but in a case of civil disturbance or national emergency, they don't stay in Utah. They're moved somewhere else so they won't have a tie to the people. And that's what's happened in Canada. And Trudeau is a traitor, and his MPs need to. Parliament's stolen, probably. Parliament's gone, as our Congress is. But there have got to be political and military good leaders that will stand up and say, no, you're not going to do this, despite the dangers to them. Regardless, don't wait for them to do that. Do something. Act on your own. Like-minded people, right? Be with like-minded people. That's the same thing as I've said, where you get with those who want the heart and mind of God in them. So that's all intertwined there. And I'm repeating myself now to some extent. There may have been some other things I wanted to say, but I think you kind of know where I'm coming from at this point. This isn't going to get better. They're going to cause a separation. They're going to throw people in these camps. They're going to kill people. This evil, evil chief of police of Ottawa needs to be dealt with. And if there's not a political or military leader that's willing to do it, or another police officer, there should be police officers arresting him right now, and Trudeau, and a lot of those other culprits. But you people are going to have to get ready. It's going to be on us. I guarantee it. And then after all this gets to a certain point, God says he will be here to lead us himself. But not until after we prove ourselves. That's the way it works. All right, I'll stop now. I wanted to get this up early so you wouldn't miss David Knight. You know, I so much appreciate David Knight. Make sure you tune him in. I think he's going to be on today, even though it's President's Day. And don't think that I have unwavering trust in the Constitution. I don't. It's got a lot of weaknesses. As Legal Man talks about on Twitter, actually, the Articles of Confederation were pretty good. They called the convention, and they didn't say they were going to come up with a new form of government. They said they were calling the convention to strengthen the Articles of Confederation in some of the areas they found that were weak. And then it was all changed over into this constitutional central government, which was inevitably going to take full power. And there's an impotency in the Constitution, in that there's no way to ensure that those who violate their oaths are dealt with summarily and quickly. That's the biggest problem with the Constitution. And it was written that way on purpose, I'm sure, so that they could sneak in their little... I'm not saying all the founding fathers are bad. No, I'm not saying that at all, but it was a sneak attack. It was. That's exactly what it was. Think that we had something that we really didn't. You have to have it in your heart and in your mind. Remember, as Judge Learned Hand said, no constitution, no court, no Congress, no president will save you in your rights. You have to belligerently demand them and exercise them. A right is a responsibility, and you can't conduct your responsibilities, you can't execute your responsibilities unless you act. All right, thanks for coming. So what we've talked about, Russia, I think it's a big thing. I mean, it's dangerous. It could get out of hand when you play these games. But I think that at least on the western side of the slopes here, not saying that they aren't endangering Russia. We surround Russia, and that's okay. But you know, Russia can't protect itself, and they better not set up anything over in the Western Hemisphere, right? It's all baloney. You know, the Western governments are evil. The Anglo-American conglomerate, which is the central part of the New World Order, is evil, and it's proven itself for the last 60 years. And right now, if anybody can't see it now, you just don't want to. So I think this is to prop up Biden, at least at this point in time, because they've had so many failures. They're still attacking you economically, and they're going to continue, and they're going to restrict your freedoms again. Okay? I think you can all see that. It's kind of a distraction, but it's more to kind of give Biden a little pep talk, a little, uplift. And then, like I said, they're saying that he's now, turned the tide on the infection. Well, that wasn't him at all. It's a natural course of events, actually. And then we talked about, the idea of liberty and the truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life, and seek for the truth. The truth will make you free. So liberty, having God's heart and mind in the people, and God will work through the people. He will work through the people. You're not going to see God come down and wield a sword in your behalf. This is your place to learn and to do. Don't run before you're sent. Don't be foolish. But you need to start seeking out like-minded people and bond with them. And of course, like the Pelophyte, get out of Babylon the best you can. All right. I'm going to go. I'm going to breakfast. So I'm not sure when I'll be up again, but I wanted to let you know how I was looking at all of this. And I'd go through here, and actually I can see the comments, the chat here, because it's dark outside. The lights aren't bad enough where it's causing me a problem. But I've really got to go do some other things, and I'm going to get those done. Okay. All right, everybody. I got to admit, I'm not even sure I should do this. But sometimes actually I woke up, it was about 2 a.m. this morning, and I woke up with the feeling like I needed to do this, and I would have done it right then, usually I do, but I kept putting it off and putting it off, and then I got out on the road, and it was too strong, and I had to do it. I don't know why. Obviously I don't want you to listen just to me. You need to get a lot of information from a lot of places, but I felt like I had to say that this morning. Okay. All right. You all take care. I don't know when I'll see you again. I'll just pop in when I can. And if I lose YouTube, or if they suspend me for any reason, won't let me live stream or post, go over to Odysee. Okay, I'm on Odysee, and I'll put up recordings there every once in a while. Okay. All right. You all take care. Have a great day.